Hey, welcome to Kate's Crafts. I'm Kate. Today I would like to share with you how I pieced together these sweet yet very simple Welcome to the World cards. Let's get started. Starting off, I have this new to me Strathmore Bristol Smooth 300 series paper pack that I got at Michael's. I will be stamping out the Lawn Fawn Simply Celebrate Critters new stamp set, and I will be doing a little Copic coloring. Here I'm using my Ink on 3 stamp pad, which I have traded in for my MFT Extreme Black stamp pad. I find that I kind of like this one a little bit better, and I've moved on to better pastures. Starting off, I've got the Starry Sky stencil here, and I'm going to ink blend a bit of the Kitsched Flamingo, and I will take that to the top of the paper past the actual stencil itself, because waste not, want not. This paper was not cheap, and it was on sale, and yeah, I figured I'd make 2 cards. This is actually inspired off of a previous card that I had created the day before and just couldn't get enough of how sweet it was. So I am recreating from 2 cards that I created yesterday, and you get 4 cards today. So here I'm going in with a bit of Salty Ocean. All I've done was adjusted the stencil and moved it 90 degrees to one direction, and that way I don't get overlapping too much, but still some overlapping with the blue and the pink. And I'm just taking some extra Salty Ocean and going up on that empty bit of the paper here. So once I'm happy with that, I'll clean off my stencil again, and I will move it another 90 degrees, or turn it, sorry, and I will go in with some Wilted Violet once I'm satisfied with the placing. It was kind of hard to do this and not totally go over a lot of the stars, but I think it turned out quite nice. Just as long as you're careful with the placement, you shouldn't have any problems to recreate this. So once I've gone over the stencil completely, I will take a little bit extra and go up on that little bit right there. It kind of looks like a bit of a mess right now, but once it dries, the oxide ink will give it a bit of a chalky effect, and it'll soften out a little bit more. So there you have it, all 3 colors. Next up, we're going to do a little bit of Copic coloring. So I'd already stamped out those images, and off camera I cut them to save some time, because who likes to sit during a long video? Here I'm just going in with some C5, switching it out for the C3, which is my midtone, and I will be finishing it off with the C1. I work in my Copic markers this way for just about every coloring that I happen to do, and each color that I use you'll see as usual on the screen. So overall, I think this paper was rather nice. It's on par with the Neenah that I used recently in a previous video. Is it worth the money? I'm not sure, but it certainly is an experience, needless to say. I like the way the color moves on the paper, and I like how there's a minimum with blending when you're dealing with the Copic markers. Now, I am not skilled in the least in coloring. I am not a colorista, if you will. If you will? Is that what they're called? I'm not a colorer, if you get what I mean. I just like to color. So, anyway, enough of that. Here I've got the warm grays that I'm doing the mice just to kind of offset them. I like mixing and matching the cools and the warms just because it almost gives it a different color effect. The warms almost look like a brown, and the cools are more of a true gray to me. So here I've just got some E93, I believe, and some R20. I like the E93 because it's a little bit of a brighter pink to the R20, and I do like to blend the two, especially in small areas. I don't know how they would translate to larger areas, but I kind of like the offset of the brighter pink as opposed to the R20, which is not as bright. I guess it's got a different pink property to it. I think the E3 is more like light colored salmon almost if you look at it, whereas the R20 is more of a pinky pink. So anyway, again, I'm going in from my lightest to darkest for my cats. Not doing too much variation for these. I want to keep the coloring rather simple, as I've got 4 cards to complete. And I think in total this probably took me 2.5, 3 hours to do all 4 of them. And that's even with my mishap. So we'll get to that mishap later in the video, and you'll see what I mean. So here we've got the warm grays again, carrying over from the mice, and just kind of switching it up, going from my darkest to lightest. And I really like the blend on this paper. Maybe I'll have to do a comparison really to see how it compares to the Neenah Solar White. I don't know the difference between the two, if there is an actual difference. I just seen a lot of people use this particular brand, and I had seen that it was on sale at Michael's, and I think it was like buy one get one 50% off. So I ended up picking up 2 paper pads, and I'll probably end up sharing with a crafty friend of mine or 2, depending, to get their thoughts on it, because like I said, I'm still new. I'm not new, but I'm new. I'm new, but I'm not new, if you know what I mean. I've been at this since the fall of last year, and I've kind of overloaded myself with all these fun and new tools, and trying to go house broke, but you know what I mean. Too many things to try out and lots of stuff to do. So here I'm going back in with the E93, which is the tea rose, which is really lovely. I love this pink. And of course the R20 for the cute little cheeks. You gotta do the cheeks most of the time. So once I'm done with that, I will take this panel that I did cut down to, I believe it was 6 by 8.5. No, I forget. I cut the paper in half. I know that, and it's not the regular size paper, like the 8 by 11. So I end up cutting out 2 panels from this, and I thought, that would look neat. But I thought I would take it one step further in the original and in this one, and I cut out 2 panels from this shimmer cardstock, and I also cut out some panels of the same size with the large outside-in stitched rectangle die out of some heavyweight cardstock. I think it was 110 Recollections, and I've cut down all of my colored panels into halves so that I could get more bang for my buck with the ink blending backgrounds. So I'm just taking 1/2 of the ink blended background and I'm gluing it to the top. And then next I'll take one of the pink-blue colored cardstocks and glue it down to the bottom. And you can kind of see here what I'm getting at. I thought these turned out rather nice. The pattern to the solid contrast, I think I rather like the half and half or whatever. I don't know what you would call it, but I'm going in with some scrapbook adhesive and some Tombow mono glue, just in case I make a mistake, which is always possible on my craft desk. And I'm going over these panels the same way with those 2 leftover ones that I have. I'm just going to use the blue and the pink and create a separate card without any of the ink blended panel. And that way I get the 4th card and everybody gets a panel, and it's all shimmery and cute and lovely. So here I'm just lining it up to the pre-cut panel that I have here of the white cardstock, which I think gives it a little bit more stability without adding like foam tape and making it huge and bulking, because sometimes foam tape is cool, but sometimes if you just add another layer of thick cardstock on the back of your panel, it gives it just enough pop from the base of the card, or the card base, or whatever. Here I kind of didn't line everything up perfectly, so I just trimmed off a little hair of that, and here's where things go awry. I've cut and scored and folded my card bases, and now I'm going to put these little sweet sentiments on the insides of these cards. I can't remember the name of it. It's just it might have been a free with purchase stamp set. I recently just got these from a crafty friend of mine. She snail mailed me these, and I think they're absolutely adorable. So I went through all 4 of these cards and stamped on the inside, and then with the leftover pieces that I had on my desk of the same kind of cardstock, I stamped out 4 different sentiments and then cut them down into little tiny strips to kind of cover up that seam that I made with the panels, the 2 different panels here that I have here. So it kind of looks like it's flowing in one and you don't get that big break in the middle. And I'm just gluing down the little critters as well. I'm not using any tape runner or anything like this. This is going directly on with glue. There isn't any dimension to this because I wanted this to be flat, and I thought that the stars and the two-tone of it gave it enough dimension with the little critters on the front. So again, I'm doing the same thing here like I did all of them. Put a little glue down along the seam, and then I kind of glue the banner that I cut, the strip, and then once I'm done with that, I trim off the little ends there to kind of make it more uniform. And then I'll add that last little bit to my card. I thought these cards turned out rather sweet, and I couldn't resist making another 4 of them to the 2 that I'd previously made, and these will go in the pile and will end up at the pop-up fair that I'm going to be attending next month. So if you're in the neighborhood, come on by and say hi. You don't have to buy anything. You can just come say hi if you'd like. Or if you're not in the neighborhood and you're out of town, stay tuned to my Instagram. Oh, see, here, this is where I mishap. You see what I mean? This is where I mishap. I stamped them the wrong way, so I had to go through the entire process of cutting and scoring and restamping everything, and I thought I'd take that part out because you didn't need to see me do that again. So all I'm doing here is laying down a bit of the scrapbook adhesive tape runner and going around with some glue because I want to make sure that this heavier set card panel is secured to my card base. So I just want to make sure that I'm checking and I'm putting it on the right side. This is going to be a side fold A2 sized card, and that'll have a little white border. And these are the 4 cards that I made. I hope you enjoyed this. It was quite the experience, and I think I rather like this. So, if you've enjoyed today's content or found it helpful, please give this video a like. I also welcome you to subscribe, as I post weekly. Here's another video I think you might enjoy. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.